Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. So today I have come up with another topic, 7 technical skills to become an outstanding developer. But before that, I had shared one tutorial which is like 5 technical skills that one should learn as an IT professional. If you have not gone through this video, I would suggest like go through this video. There would be some common skills. Either you are an IT professional or a developer or a QA or a network engineer. So this is one of the video that I would highly recommend you to go through that. Okay, so now let's see what are all the 7 technical skills that you want to learn to become an outstanding developer. So the first one that I would recommend is secure coding. Now it's developers' responsibility to make your application more secured. So we all know that code is the core of the application, right? Any application that you are developing, basically you're writing the code, right? And then based on that, the different things happen. Either it's a QA testing happens and the network testing happens and DevOps cycle goes on. So everything happens around the code. So code is the core of the application. So imagine if you are writing a code which is secured already, which means you are making the application more robust. Now this is basically the security part is least considered amongst developer. They are aware to make their code functional. They want to develop very fast, but they are hardly aware about how to write secure code. Although there are many secure coding standards available in the market, like OWASP ASVS, which is known as Application Security Verification Standard, and it is mainly meant for developer only. And then there is cert secure code for C, C++, Java, and now they have for Perl and Python as well. Then there is proper design, just like we have for software developer, like software design. So the same way we have here also secure code design. So developers should also learn what are all the secure code design. For example, list privilege, segregation of duties. So kind of all those other design principles. And then there are lots of secure coding practices and checklists, which whenever they are developing few modules in the application, they can refer those. For example, input validation, authentication, authorization, session management, right? And they also need to understand the basics of OS top 10, like how this OS top 10 vulnerabilities leads in their code. For example, you see XSS, any kind of injection attack, path traversal, right? SSRF, CSRF. So these all are happening because of the problem in your code. So how you can mitigate those, how you can defense against these kind of vulnerabilities. And if you have not started learning threat model, I would highly recommend that being a developer, you should be aware of threat model. And maybe if you are a fresher or you want to aim for a lead developer or software architect, so these are the things that you must understand and you must be aware of these concepts. Now, I am not discussing anything about what are all the core skills that software developer have to learn, because I know you will be good at coding, you will be good at algorithms, code optimization, clean code, right? So all these things are anyways your core skills, like software design patterns, software coding skills. So I am not going to discuss any of those. Rather, I would be concentrating more over other 7 technical skills that you should learn as a developer, right? So let's go to the second technical skills, that is software testing. So don't leave the whole of the testing scenarios to your QA engineers. There are few minimal things that you should also test before pushing your code to the testing environment. Like what are the minimal edge case that you think like your application might break or your application might not behave as expected. And also be aware of the functional testing and the security testing, right? Like, okay, your login page is working, but is it secured? Is it I mean, am I writing the code which can defense for XSS or for SQL injection? So those kind of basic testing you can do even using unit testing. And you should also do cross browser testing, because your application will be running over different browsers, different device platforms. So cross browser testing is something that you can embed whenever you are developing any application, and do the basics of network testing there as well. Anyways, I will speak about this skill more in coming slide. So you are aware of few testing tools, maybe JUnit, and automation is the key here. Like being a developer, you can automate few of these kind of scenarios, so that whenever you are creating that application, you just run this automation script and it will take care of all those minimal edge cases, functional testing, security testings, cross browser testing, and it will give you the idea that your application is not going to break in any of these minimal scenarios, and rest leave it to the experts like QA engineers who will do more of those rigorous testings, right? So let's move to the third skill, which is databases. Now there are lots of databases for different purpose. Now you are going to develop an application for gaming environment, you are going to develop an application for e-commerce. So the same database would not fit for all these scenarios. So you should be aware like which database would be good for streaming, which database would be good for ETL purpose, for e-commerce purpose, for gaming purpose. So, for example, MySQL is there, which is an example of relational database. Then there are example of MongoDB, which is NoSQL. So, like, what are all the different databases are available in the market? And then you should be aware of most of the databases commands, and it should be more than basic commands, because I got rejected by Amazon because of my poor skills in databases. So this is also very important concept if you are applying somewhere as a software developer. And you should be aware of all the security settings that you need for your application. Maybe you have to tell this to DBA or data ops engineer, but you have to be aware of those security settings. For example, is there any SSL settings available, right? Which version of SSL I can use? Can we add some certificate there? Where exactly I have to give the credentials? Is it inside the database or somewhere else as a security settings, right? And you are able to understand this DB design concept, so that whenever you are talking to the DB architects or DB engineers, so you are able to tell them like this is what I want to design, and this is what it has to be. So you can show them some kind of demo or some model, like this is what I want to design, and this is how it should work, and let them work on that. So the next skill is cloud essentials. Well, it is a hot shot in the market, and everyone is moving towards cloud. So you have to understand what are all the advantages of cloud, right, over on-prem solutions or over traditional computing. So, what are all the common terminologies that you have to be aware in cloud computing, like agility or elasticity or auto scaling, API gateway, or there are many different terminologies there, right? So, when you are planning to move to the cloud, so what are all the things that you can move to the cloud? So, to understand that, you have to be aware of on prem solutions and cloud solutions. So, which data I can move to cloud, which data I can keep it in on prem, and how basically I can connect these two scenarios, right? And cloud native development is something that you have to not just be aware, but you have to have a proper hands-on on this. Well, there is one thing called 12 factor app for cloud native developers. So I would recommend to go through that. And then you should be aware about basic hands-on of any cloud service provider. If your company is working on AWS, if you are developing an application on AWS, then what are all the services that you can leverage to develop your application, like API gateway, auto scaling, EC2 instance, S3 bucket for your file storage, right? And what are all the networking settings that you can do, what are all the security settings that you have to make sure your code is going to be secured, like what are all the roles that you can give it to like lambda functions, right? So there are many things that as a developer you have to be aware from the cloud perspective. And if you have not started using it, I'm sure very soon you will be starting to use it. Now, the very basic concepts that I always recommend to any IT professional, so software developer as well, understand the basics of networking concepts like IPv4, IPv6, when to use IPv4, IPv6, and how your code is going to convert these kind of IP addresses. And because you are a developer, so you might face some of the challenges from the network side, so you should be able to do the basic network troubleshooting, so that before going to the network engineers or netops team, you can tell them like these are the minimal things that I have already done, like these are the commands that I have run, these are the log files, or these are the places that I have checked already, like I have done proxy settings properly, and I understand the difference between internet and intranet, and my code is working over the internet and intranet as well, right? And the different other infra settings, like where your log is, where your error log is, where your application log is, and you have checked all these places. And you should have good understanding of TLS, transport layer security, or say like how this HTTP and HTTPS works, why you should develop an application which works over this TLS, either it's a layer 7 or layer 4 security, right? Then the next skill is Linux. Well, if you are a developer, you are already aware that Linux is an important skill that you have to work on it. So basics of Linux commands are anyways, I assume that you know, but what are on the top of that that you have to understand? For example, you are comfortable using any kind of native editor like Vim, Nano, Emacs, and you are able to install, update, upgrade any software in that Linux machine, and you are able to run basics of network commands like ping, nslookup, dig, traceroute, to figure out if there is any problem with your network settings, with your IP address, with your internet. And you are able to run this kind of commands like curl, wget, nmap, to troubleshoot some kind of network related things, or to understand like how your application is actually working. So curl is a very good command to test over the command line how your application behaves, like what are all the headers you can check there, and if it is breaking somewhere, so you just write curl hyphen v and the command, and then you will get in a verbose mode like what all things are happening for your application. And the next skill is DevOps basic. This is the last skill, but not the least. This is again a very new concept for developer, and many of the developers and many of the organizations are already working on this, and these developers are already aware of DevOps basics. Well, what I have to tell you here is DevOps is not just a tools. So don't think about Ceph, Puppet, Ansible, and Terraform and all these things. And knowing all these tool means you are a good in DevOps. No, DevOps is a culture. So think beyond this agile methodologies and make it a real working culture. As of now, in many places we have seen like still DevOps means they are doing only the operational work and developer are doing their work, right? So they are not actually combining. But DevOps concept was like developer, operations, and QA team all combined together, and whatever skills are required to make your application working from phase one to the production. So all these concepts you are aware as a developer, like how your code is integrated to different phases, what are all the pain that operations teams are suffering, so can you ease some of them, right? And get involved in the CI/CD pipeline implementations. So these are the technical skills that I think you should be aware to make yourself an outstanding developer. Now, do you think did I miss something? If so, please share your feedback through comment. And if you want to add another technical skill, then please let me know, and I will add it in this video, or maybe I will make another video. So you can again follow FlexMind in different social channels. You can follow me as well in different social channels. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Please let me know if this video was helpful for you and you learned something. I would encourage to comment your feedback so that it will encourage me to create more videos like this.